Hi, welcome back to my garden. Friday's come rolling around and I thought I'd nearly forgotten to make my film for the week. And actually, it's a bit of a race against time because I suspect that it is going to bucket down with rain very shortly. So perhaps this will be cut short, perhaps this will never be aired, who knows. I certainly don't imagine I will be ending this, but I'm going to end before I begin, just in case it ends abruptly with, I trust you all having a wonderful life, your lives are filled with joy, and hello, eventually ciao from a cloudy, overcast and rain-filled Brazil. So anyway, that's the introduction out the way. Here we are. I've been talking about the idea of a sort of what I've been calling master of self-administration, a selection of readings that would help one to manage one's life, things that I'd recommend to anybody. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that this reading list is really just another version of the book I've written an outline to, and one day I will finish writing. And my book is provisionally titled Dream, Learn, Be. It's how to kind of reconnect with and follow your dreams wherever they might take you. So they're really the same kind of thing. And a lot of the books that I've read over the last 8 years, when I sort of started to rethinking how I was living my life, seem to fit in quite neatly. It's a bit like the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell's monomyth, and how pretty much every story seems to fit in with Campbell's structure. And I think that's kind of true with any life advice. In the end, we're all basically saying the same thing, talking about the same stuff, just packaging it slightly differently or emphasizing different points. Certainly makes finding a potential reading list for my master of self-administration much easier because it's already there in the book outline. The first thing that I would want people to do, actually, it will be a sort of a sideline, very much in the introduction. And I would recommend this to anybody, is not necessarily read a book about this, but although there are good books to read, and I will recommend them, but watch a short film about the note-taking process, because before embarking on an escapade such as this, on a hopefully life-transformative journey, you are going to need to get your notes in order. And there's two good videos, actually, good short videos, many of them, but two that I would suggest. One is about the Zettelkasten method, and the other is sorry about that. I just got the impression that a rather painful fly was nestling on my cheek. It may or may not have been, but we have them here, sort of horse flies, and they really aren't very nice. Anyway, back to note-taking. So one video would be about Zettelkasten, although I think it's well worth reading Sonke Arendt's book, Smart Notes, about the whole system. But there's a short 15-minute film, variety of them, that will give you the flavour. And a different kind of approach to note-taking, but a film that is equally well worth watching, is the author Ryan Holiday's short clip on his channel about how he takes notes in preparation for a book, how he kind of catalogues them and so on. So I would have those as two things that you would do before you start reading. And then I guess the starting point in a personal reinvention of yourself would be to read books around the sort of follow your passion or not type of theme. And there's a few contenders there. One that stands out is The Element. I think it's called The Element, by Sir Ken Robinson, he of the famous TED Talk fame. And he's written 2 books about this. I think it's called The Element and How to Find Your Element. And it's about being living a life which is literally in your element. So that would be, I'm not saying it's the greatest book ever written, or perhaps I've just watched so many things presented by talks by Ken Robinson that perhaps the jokes and patter have worn a little thin, that I'm kind of Ken Robinsoned out. Because the first time I watched his famous multi-million, 60 million times viewed TED Talk on Are Schools Killing Creativity? I think it's a fantastic talk that all school teachers kind of need to watch. And it is very funny, but I've watched it many times, and I've watched his other talks. And like all these guys, they have after a while seemed to be a little formulaic, which isn't true the first time you watch them. The Element and his talk on that is great, but I'm not sure I agree with everything. But I think it offers some provocative ideas that are worth wrestling with. Kind of in a similar vein, I believe his name, I didn't research before this talk, is it Leslie Smith? Again, a fantastic TED Talk on following your passion. And I know he's written a book. I've never come across it, but I know there is a book out there. And that is in a similar sort of vein, and they're quite inspiring. But juxtaposed with those would be Cal Newport, and another guy I mention a lot. He's written a fantastic book called Deep Work. He's a computer science lecturer at Georgetown University, and Deep Work is really about knowledge working, and he's recently got onto a topic of with a book titled the same name, a topic of digital minimalism, on how we need to relate differently to digital media, to social media, and so on. But his first big hit was a book called So Good They Can't Ignore You. And I suppose in one line, his thesis is that you develop the work first and the passion comes second, not the other way around. And that's an interesting idea. And of course, in the end, when you think about what these writers and speakers are saying, perhaps they're just approaching the same point from a different angle. I don't think Cal Newport suggests for a moment that you should be miserable in your job. And I don't think Sir Ken Robinson and Leslie Smith, if that is his name, are suggesting that you have this wonderful fairy tale life that you just need to give up everything and follow the yellow brick road and all will be marvelous, because it's not like that either. Sir Ken Robinson points out how you need to do things to find the thing that is your element. It's through the doing and experimenting and persisting that perhaps you find your way. So I think those are books that are well worth reading. And also in the inspirational area, I'm going to read them again, is The Art of Possibility by Benjamin and Ros Zander, which is incredible. I've spoken about it on this channel before. There's a book by Elizabeth Gilbert, the Eat, Pray, Love author, who also has done a tremendous TED talk on creativity. And this book's called Big Magic, where she talks about being a writer, about following your dreams, about connecting with yourself. And I think this whole broad topic is inextricably linked with self-mastery. So perhaps the perfect place to start. And the way I envisage this really is, I often talk about following the mastery path. And I guess it's, we master ourselves by mastering something. It's this idea that it is called a discipline. And it is through the discipline that we connect more deeply with ourselves and our inner resources. So that might be a starting point. Now, I'm not sure if you can hear the pitter-patter of rain. At the moment, I'm fully protected by the rather wonderful trees, branches above me. But knowing how tropical rain is, this will last for only so long. So I think I'm going to beat a quick retreat to the safety and, more to the point, dryness of my palatial mansion over my shoulder. So that's it. Let me know what you think. And I suppose I'm going to end by saying I think this is going to be the direction that these particular films are going to take for quite some time, because I think it's a story worth telling, and I do want to find someone to come on this rather exciting journey with me eventually, although perhaps I need to go through all the way to the end, show you what I have in mind, share that, and then start looking for volunteers. So that's it for this week. Let me know what you think, and until next week, ciao.